In 13 days, the Prince and Princess of Wales would travel 6,500 kilometres, visit 12 cities, be photographed thousands of times, and shelter under several umbrellas as they were watched and welcomed by a nation. It was the first day of a visit notable for firsts. The first time 3 heirs to the throne had been in the country. The first time Diana, Princess of Wales, had come here. The first time an infant prince had travelled with his parents halfway around the world to visit New Zealand. We'd heard, of course, about the charm of the Princess of Wales, but no one, it seemed, was really prepared for the attention she'd attract all over the country. Everywhere she went, crowds pressed forward and photo flashes blinked incessantly. Reporters sent out hundreds of pictures, thousands of words, to let the world know that New Zealand was as enthusiastically loyal as ever. But perhaps the definitive report was delivered at the farewell banquet in Auckland by the man who was closer than anyone to the events of this royal visit, the Prince of Wales himself.
But ladies and gentlemen, we will leave here tomorrow with a warm feeling in our hearts, not just from having drunk a little New Zealand wine, but from all the affection and the interest and the enthusiasm which has been shown to us by so many people wherever we've been. And we'll leave with all sorts of memories of Auckland for putting up with us.
40,000 children weren't just putting up with them. Their welcome at Eden Park was noisy and exuberant.
What a reception. Isn't that terrific?
In almost 2 years as Princess of Wales, Her Royal Highness had been officially greeted all over Britain and Australia. But it was the first time she'd been welcomed like this. There's no doubt now a Princess of Wales has been welcomed to New Zealand.
She's done it again. There she goes, chatting to the crowd of children on the perimeter of the ground here. She's made their day.
There was only ever the faintest hope that an event featuring thousands of schoolchildren would run exactly to plan. It was the informality and enthusiasm of a princess that made the engagement longer and happier than anyone had anticipated. There were little echoes of New Zealand and the South Pacific all over Eden Park. Clamour and variety everywhere. Bagpipes, coconut shells, 800 voices, all competing for a moment's royal attention.
These children are performing a Samoan sasa, traditional Samoan dance. And they're being led by a parent, Mrs. Vitale.
I don't know if they're going to pay any attention to that, Judy.
Well, she walked up Ayers Rock.
It's a nice try, anyway. Yeah, it's quite a day, I guess. You get to meet a Prince and Princess and the Prime Minister and have a chat with them.
Plenty of practice sessions going on in the park in front of us. perfecting their routines. Hoping for a chat with the royal couple. I think they're hoping to get the princess up there. Is that what that cheer was all about?
Well, you never know. It could be the prince. Was it here last time that he rode a bike?
Yes, they had a similar gathering in South Auckland. And there were lots of displays in the centre of the ground, including one BMX display. And as he's wont to do, the Prince of Wales abandoned all formality and leapt onto a BMX. Made some small boy's day.
I have done a terrible thing, which is to ask the powers that be if an extra day's holiday can be granted to all the schools here. And the powers that be have said, yes. So, my sympathies are extended to the parents, but I do hope you all enjoy the holiday at the discretion of each school when it suits them. Boys and girls, thank you for such a warm welcome. We have greatly enjoyed seeing you all this morning.
The children certainly appreciated being given a day's holiday, even if it had the education authorities slightly nonplussed. The evening was more formal.
Last night, the princess wore lilac blue for a royal gala performance of Coppelia at the St James Theatre in Auckland. The show marks the 30th anniversary of the New Zealand Ballet and played to a packed house. After the performance, the royal couple spent about 10 minutes on stage meeting the cast. The proceeds from last night go to the Dorothy Daniels Foundation, which was set up in 1982 to promote ballet and dance. For the cast, the royal visit backstage was a boost in itself and made all the work worthwhile.
And Manukau for the fire service display. That's another memory.
The chairman of the Fire Service Commission, Rear Admiral Thorne, told Charles and Diana that to his knowledge this was the first time royalty had been treated to such a display in New Zealand. He told the couple he was sorry Prince William was too young to be at the event, otherwise he could have satisfied the dream of all small boys to ride on a fire engine. As a compensation, the firemen presented Princess Diana with a scale model of a New Zealand fire truck for the baby prince to play with, and said if he wanted to come out when he's a bit older, they'll let him ride on the real thing. It was an impressive display of firefighting laid on for the royal couple. At its peak, water was squirting at a rate of 25 tonnes a minute, making some of the onlookers grateful they brought their raincoats. With the display over, the prince and princess met officials and inspected the men who'd pumped the water. The princess, who's got quite a reputation for fashion trend setting, was interested in the firemen's gloves.
Well, she just asked me what they were made of. I told her they were made of chamois. You know, she asked me, is that the sort of stuff you wash your car with? And I explained that it was. And when they're wet, they actually cling to your hand and become very safe. That was what she said.
Takapuna, where we shall remember that for children entirely covered in goose pimples.
The Papuki Centre is a unique development which emphasises water confidence and safety. It's run by the Waterwise Society and its facilities are used by about 1,000 children from 5 local schools. Their walk led down to Lake Pupuki. Prince Charles, with 5 years in the Navy, took a close interest, while the princess watched the boating demonstrations from above. The safe handling of small boats is one important part of the centre's programme.
Wellington. What can one say about Wellington when you're in Auckland?
Prince Charles was soon in his favourite place, the pilot's chair. A former Royal Navy pilot, he takes the controls whenever he can. For his wife too, not a moment wasted, a time for quiet relaxation. Out comes the needlework. Then, well and truly settled in, it's off to the capital and more enthusiastic crowds.
A small but enthusiastic crowd greeted the royal couple and Prince Edward when they arrived in Wellington. After being met by the Prime Minister and an official party, they soon moved off to their car.
The state banquet. Outside, a number of Wellingtonians come out in this really quite balmy and pleasant autumn Wellington evening to, most of them, be sure that they get a glimpse of the Prince and very definitely, if they possibly can, a glimpse of the Princess of Wales. Glittering in the evening and a glittering lady.
How divine she's looking. There she is.
Yes.
Diana, the Princess of Wales. And of course the Prince of Wales and all his regalia as well. She's got the proverbial beautiful frills around her neck, but it's the tiara that seems to be stealing the scene at the moment. The Spencer tiara, worn on her wedding day, 29th of July 1981, and apparently was worn at Government House Ball in Canberra, just this April.
Yes. His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, wearing the star of a Knight of the Garter, a Royal Knight of the Garter on the left side, and on his left lapel, his miniatures of his principal orders, that is the Order of the Bath, Knight of the Order of Australia, the Coronation Medal of 1953 and the Queen's Silver Jubilee Medal 1977, but more importantly, the newly conferred honour today, the Queen's Service Order.
And what we have for you here is kauri, the kingfisher, found in many lands, but our own particular version of it is one of our lovely native birds, crafted in a typical New Zealand setting, and we hope that you will take it away with you, and when you look at it, it will remind you of this country, our people, and what we all love here, the things of our natural heritage.
I myself am no stranger to this country, and I've been coming here for some considerable time, so I suspect you're probably getting rather bored with my appearance here, but it has been the greatest possible delight for me, as I mentioned 2 years ago when I was here, almost to the day, to bring my wife here and to introduce her to all of you. I've given her a most appalling crash course in Australia, and my goodness, it is a big country to get round. New Zealand is a little bit easier to get round, but sadly this time we aren't going to be able to visit as many of the places as we would have liked to have done. But I hope there'll be an opportunity on future occasions. One of the reasons that we've come, I think, on this occasion is to thank you all in person, and particularly those who were really kind and thoughtful and sent us many messages and presents and so on at the time of our wedding, which were enormously appreciated and gave us such an incredibly warm glow inside. I had always looked forward for many years to organizing our wedding. And I always wanted it to be a musical occasion. And that was the reason I waited until I was 32, because it takes time. It takes time to build up enough musical contacts and to be patron of a couple of orchestras and a large choir, and also patron of the Royal Opera, otherwise I would never have managed to get Dame Curie to come and sing. And another reason for coming here, of course, is to thank the government of New Zealand and indirectly everybody else in the country for your astonishingly generous wedding present. And this is where I hope most of you know what it was you gave us. But it was seemingly endless miles of New Zealand pure wool carpet, which couldn't have been a more thoughtful or more appreciated present. So wherever we walk now in our new house in London, we are reminded of New Zealand. And I hope and pray that it's guaranteed to last for at least 50 years. Of course, people here, and for that matter in Australia, may not call the United Kingdom home anymore, as the leader of the opposition was saying. But the affection is there, of course. But it's sometimes submerged. But we shouldn't forget that it's there. And it rose, I think, to the surface almost exactly a year ago today, when we had the unfortunate crisis in the South Atlantic. But if I do nothing else here on this particular visit, I can at least, I hope, bring the heartfelt, and that's an inadequate word, really, the heartfelt gratitude of the British people for the unswerving and determined support of the New Zealand people and the government at a most critical moment as far as the British people were concerned. It's so easy, isn't it, to compromise on principles and on principles that you think sometimes don't matter all that much. But the New Zealand people clearly felt on that occasion a year ago that every now and then a stand has to be made. And the knowledge that you were sharing our anxieties, all those thousands of miles away, really did help to render more bearable, perhaps, the sacrifices that some were called upon to make. And the fact that you decided to send help in kind in the form of a ship was even more deeply appreciated. And the Prime Minister said that on his visit to the United Kingdom last year, all sorts of people thanked him for that much appreciated gesture. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have many, many things to thank you for. Particularly to thank you for letting our son William come here as well as us. That has meant, I think, more to us than almost anything else, to be able to bring him all the way out here. Nowadays, it's easier, I think, to transport children than it used to be. And the good Lord, as far as we are concerned, has been enormously kind to us in giving us our son. And little did I think, when I spoke in the park 2 years ago, that I would actually be bringing him as well as my wife. But he is a great joy to us, and it's marvellous to find that he's also a great joy to a large number of other people throughout the Antipodes. Ladies and gentlemen, my wife and I are deeply touched by your welcome to us here in New Zealand, to all three of us. And we can only say thank you in the most heartfelt way, and we look forward to future visits to this country.
The next night was the ball at Government House. The royal stamina showed no signs of flagging. Already, earlier in the day, they'd been to
Wanganui. We shall remember that for the Kokiri Skills Centre and the Kohanga Reo, which we went to visit. but Tony for being there while we drove through it.